Hello, and you're very welcome to another edition of the JMac Podcast. This week I am joined by Ballymun footballer Ted Furman, and of course this podcast is sponsored by Orga Retrowear.com. Check the website out for all your retro gear needs and wants. It's a fantastic website, guys, and obviously I'm rocking the Cavan jersey today, so it's a great addition. And obviously use my podcast, JMac Podcast, for 15% off on their website. Ted Furman, how's things, my man?
How are you doing, John? Pleasure to be on.
Great stuff, Ted. Great stuff. And I'm probably boring my listeners, my followers, my people I'm doing these podcasts with. But Ted, how has COVID been for you, my good man?
Believe it or not, COVID has probably worked in my favour. As for me personally, I've been on a different journey since last year, since the beginning or since the end of February. So for me, COVID kind of came as a little blessing in disguise, really. I think I said this to you before on a previous podcast. Like, I attempted suicide at the end of February last year, the 27th of February, and so then ever since then, COVID hit. Then about 2 weeks after that. So with everything closing, it kind of gave me the opportunity to reset and kind of reevaluate everything that was going on, both personal and professionally in my life, and so it gave me a chance to kind of reset and reevaluate things that were going on, and do something positive in many ways. So yeah, I can actually say COVID probably worked out well for me in many ways.
Yeah, it definitely has. And you're working away at this Ted's Open Mic at the minute. You do it every Monday and Thursday. I'm a big fan of it. I tune into it most nights, get the chance when wee man's not in me wrecking me head. How's that going for you, Ted? Obviously it's a great outlet for people, and I suppose if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Ted's Open Mic was something that I set up on the 2nd November was the very first call that I had. And in many ways, what I was trying to do with it was sorry, what I seen, there wasn't much support for people out there in ways in communities, or for people to meet in groups and speak with each other. And I think unfortunately with the public system as well, there's such a backlog for people struggling with their own mental health and such. I had a couple of conversations with people, and what we seen was the support wasn't there, or it was failing them in many ways. So what I tried to do is create a peer support group for people for struggling with their mental health, or people that want to get a grasp on it and try and help others, and try and normalize the conversation around mental health. So I got 2 professionals on board, and I'm delighted that as of yesterday I've got another professional, another counsellor coming on. So every Monday and Thursday now, that's actually changing now from next week. So it'll be every Tuesday and Thursday. I obviously do a group where it's again normalising the conversation around mental health. I do have a trained counsellor and a trained psychiatric nurse on, and we just try and get people to kind of share their experience, share their stories on what has gone on in their lives, or how they're coping during lockdown and stuff. And try and help them put their coping mechanisms in place to try and deal with the kind of adversity, or deal with what people are going through on a daily basis. And I think this is why with the professionals, it's such a great outlet, and it's only grown since the 2nd November now. Like, I'm nearly 4 months down the line now, and the numbers are continuing to grow. And in a way, it's sad that you have so many people reaching out, but it's also a fantastic thing that we're able to give people that outlet, or that space, that safe space for people to come on and share and listen. And people seem to enjoy it. And I know I speak a lot on it, so I try and limit what I speak and what I share. There's only so much people can listen to one person for. So, but no, it's great, and I have so many people that are coming back, and so many followers that are coming, that are on regularly, and again, it's fantastic to see the journey that they're going on, and see that it's actually working and helping people.
Yeah, and like, I suppose it's not an easy thing to do. Like, I know myself personally, like, opening up, and like us, as I've said to you before on the podcast, like, men do find it so hard. And have you kind of been amazed by some of the absolute top dogs you've got on the open mic? Are you amazed by their openness and just willing to actually talk to people, and even yourself, Ted?
Yeah, no, it is. It's fantastic, and this is one thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of change it up in a way, and like I do the calls over Zoom and they're live. And again, I don't really record. I don't record. I haven't recorded any of them, because it is very sensitive for people. It's a sensitive subject in many ways, not just for young males or young adults in a lot of ways. And the age ranges are going from about 20 up to probably 60, like that you have in the calls. And so it's people suffering in a lot of ways. But all I can say is the people that have been on have been absolutely fantastic. And all the guests that I've got guest speakers on that I've shared their stories, like Rory stories and Shane Carty, just to name but a few. And just how they speak and how they articulate their own struggles and their own journeys is fantastic. And it's great when you have the people then on, when I don't have a guest on, the openness of people to share their own story. And what it does, it helps others in many ways, because they can see that they're not alone in their own struggles. And that's one thing that I find, that when I speak and I open up, it can be such a huge relief to see that someone else is struggling or someone else is going through the same thing. And it's fantastic. And trying to put the coping mechanisms in place for people is a huge thing. And that's one thing that we try and do, and one thing that the counsellor and Yvonne and John will try and do, is try and give people the coping mechanisms, try and give people just tools that they can use on a daily basis, that if they do get triggered by someone, that they have the money in the bank, as people say, to try and help them move forward. Like,
yeah, like it's like anything else, Ted. Like I think people are finding this particular lockdown quite hard, and there's kind of people feel like there's a going end in sight. There's our livelihood essentially has been taken away from us for so long, Ted. Like, and how important is it to kind of, for even people to have this outlet that you've created? How important is that for everyone to come together and just say how they're feeling? Because it's no better time than any to actually just talk and just let it all out.
Yeah, come here, 100%. Like when I first set it up, we only thought we were going to be in a lockdown for 3 or 4 weeks, like, and so like we're here probably 3 or 4 months down the line, and we're still in it. And I think this time around, people are really struggling because, again, like even for myself, trying to get out and train. Now, again, last month, for the month of February, as people are aware, like I raised money for Pieta House through a GoFundMe, where I was either running or walking 3K every day for the month of February. And that 4 weeks was absolutely fantastic, because I had structure. I knew I had to get out, and it was great to kind of be with 30 and 40 minutes when you're running. Like it just cleared the head. It gave you the clarity. Then when you come back, you have a fresh head, and it was great. Even wind, rain, sun, it was great just to get out. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of people are struggling now at the minute, with the likes of the gyms and all closed. They've no real structure to do. They can't get out. They can't go and walk. And this is why, with the group, this is why over the last couple of weeks I haven't had guests on, because we're trying to get them to interact a lot more, try and speak with each other. And again, we're building a community there for people, and it's connecting people all over Ireland, like down from Cork all the way up to Donegal, and people in the UK. I've had people log on from the States and everything. Like it's fantastic how broad and how big the range has reached. And all I can do is, like, again, is trying to facilitate. All I'm trying to do for people is just trying to facilitate that and give people that outlet where they can feel safe and secure to open up and know that they're not going to be judged by anything that's said to them, or anything that they say. They're not going to be judged by someone, because again, people are struggling in their own ways, and many problems are, no problem is too big or too small, and what a small problem could be for me might be huge for you. And that's the difference. And it's how you can handle that, and how you can communicate with someone to get through.
Yeah. And I suppose it came around to November, and you were like, everyone obviously has that bit of added time on their hands. And what spurred you on to kind of start all of it? Because obviously, like as I said, there's no better time to start something new and create conversation. But what kind of spurred you on to, I suppose, start all this?
I was having conversations with people probably around October, and the conversations were around suicide. And the people attempting suicide. And in the space of 2 weeks, I had heard of 5 suicide attempts. with 2 of them being successful and 3 being unsuccessful. And the consensus was there wasn't that support. One of them was in hospital, and they were released on a Monday or Tuesday, and then on the Wednesday they'd attempted suicide and been successful. So and then obviously given my own struggles with it, like again, it was great. I was in counselling. I'm in counselling. I'm doing counselling now at the minute, but like there was no group aspect of it. Whereas it's great to talk one-on-one with someone, but I think when I looked at it, if you can reach one person, yeah, fantastic. You can help one person. That's the aim of it. That if you can save one life, come here, that's fantastic. It's no matter. There's no better feeling than giving people that opportunity. But what I wanted to do was obviously create somewhere where it was a group of people coming together. Like, and we've all been to like team meetings where you're trying to build that bond with other lads, and yeah, it's great when you can get that camaraderie with people and the people that you can trust and speak to. So I decided to do something virtually for people. Again, we've all done like games nights with family, and I've all done some stuff with Zoom. So there was a lot of talk in the background, like what was the safest option that people how can you monitor how can we look out for people. So it was just given my own struggles and given the struggles that I'd heard of people, obviously with the attempted suicides. I wanted to do something for other people and try and promote something and try and normalise the conversation around mental health and show that there is support there for people, and show that you're not alone really in many aspects of it. Like,
yeah, and like I've seen it, like, and you've had some tremendous guests on it. You've had the likes of Paul Flynn, Bernard Dunn, Joe Sheridan, Rory Story, Shane Carty. You know, massive people in this day and age to get on, Ted. Like, and kind of getting them gentlemen on, like, what's it like to learn from them and get tips from them and just bounce off them.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Like, and I'm fortunate enough that from playing GAA for many years, I've built up a connection, like obviously connections with a lot of people, and through the GAA, like, it is fantastic that you can reach out to one person and then it opens many doors to others. So what I've done kind of with the group was I reached out to any connection that I've made over the years, be it on the pitch, in coppers, anywhere, and that, because it's true. That's where you meet, where you kind of meet everyone. Like, but like Rory's stories again was fantastic, and I knew Rory since I was 15. Like, when he tried to transfer to Ballymun, believe it or not. Like, but so like again, just reached out to him, says look, gave them what I was trying to do, what I'm trying to create, gave them the concept of it, and just asked them would they mind coming on and sharing their story, and straight away they come back and they say yes. And you're kind of looking at, when you listen to them and you see the coping mechanisms that they have in place for themselves, and it's fantastic. And every night that I'm on the call, I have a little notebook beside me, and I take down notes on some of the aspects that people say. And it's not just the guest speakers that you have on it. It could be anyone that's on the call. If something really relates to me, I write it down, or something that's really important, I write it down. And most of the things that people talk about on the calls, and particularly people that have them coping mechanisms in place, the importance what they always say is getting out and exercising. It's getting out for that fresh air. It's having that structure. I'm fortunate enough that I'm still in work now with Clondalkin Millers. I'm fortunate enough that I'm still in work, so I kind of do still have that structure in place Monday to Friday, where I'm out working, and then in the evenings then trying to get out and do a bit of exercise, or doing exercise at home. Like, I bought a bar there from MC Sport there last month, and using that at home, trying to do exercise, trying to do gym work, and you're trying to keep your mind busy and not lay idle, because I think what happens is the more we lay idle, the more time we have to think, and the more time we have to think is the more issues that we try and think negatively. So it's trying to turn that mindset into a positive, and trying to work on the positive aspect of things that's going on. So people at the minute that might struggle, and this is one of the things that we talk about in the call, like, look at things, take it day by day, take it hour by hour. So the most important thing in the morning is getting up out of bed.
Yeah.
So that's a positive thing. So that's a tick in the good column. So, and then getting up, making the bed, stuff like that is really important. And it's getting up, getting yourself into a routine. And for people that are struggling, that are stuck at home, it could be having a routine. It can be very important for people having structure. So on a weekly basis, you say, right, if you write down, and this one things that we've said in the calls, on a Sunday evening, you sit down, write a list of 7 or 8 things that you want to get done throughout the week, and you pick a day that you want to do them. So, but be it, say, paint the bedroom, right? You take, right, I'm going to do that Wednesday, and be it, get out for a run or do a JMac, make a phone call, stuff like this. Some small things, small little positive things. And what you do then on a Saturday evening, you go back to your notebook, because you're taking them off as you go along. So on a Saturday, then you sit down, you see how much you've achieved throughout the week. And if you've ticked off every single thing, that's a good week for you. And if you haven't, well, then move them into the next week and just try and keep that structure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And I suppose screen time is absolutely through the roof these days for a lot of people, Ted. And like I've kind of left a couple of my group chats that I was involved in, and people thought, Jesus, what are you at? That's the worst thing in the world. Why would you do such a thing? But I really am trying to live my screen time, because I think I hear a lot of people saying it's a cesspool of nonsense. Like, I think it's a phone generation, Ted, and people are just, it's all social media and all this looking big and looking good. But how much of an impact do you think maybe social media has on people's heads and mental health?
Social media can be a very dangerous place for people. And I think when you look at everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, and particularly with the Gordon Elliott thing, and we won't go into that, like, but again, like, his career could be ruined because of social media. Whereas if you look back 10 years ago, and one thing that really struck me was Joe Sheridan that came onto the call, and we were talking about the level of abuse that he received because of what happened like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I advertised for that Joe Sheridan was coming onto the call, I had, again, you're going to have a couple of people comment, and you were bringing up stuff 11 years ago, which you're thinking, come on, it's time to move on. Like,
yeah,
he can't change what's happened 11 years ago, and on that given day, he shouldn't have been put in that situation. Like, do you know what I mean? But it just goes, like, if social media had been around when that happened, God knows what would have happened to him. Like, social media can be very detrimental, but it can also be a great thing for people to be, and this is the problem. It's great for boosting people's egos. It can be great for people to look like their life is in order.
Yeah.
And I think what a lot of people do, and myself included, which I've done this over the years, where you act like your life is in order when really deep down behind closed doors your life is a shambles. Like, yeah. It's like an image I seen, like, you can walk around with a smile on your face, but inside your own head it's the little man crying inside and screaming to get out. And I think social media can be it's both good and bad for people, but I think trying to limit the time that we spend on social media is important. And I think what we share in social media is also important, because if you're sharing negative things all the time, that's a negative mindset that you have towards something. So the more positivity that we can share, both in personal and interpersonal skills, is really important.
Yeah, and I suppose you remarked on you done it with the Ted's 5K day as well. You were doing that for the month of February, and I suppose, how did all that go for you, Ted? Like, I seen on Instagram you're flat out every single day. Jesus, it kind of made me look lazy. But how did you get on with that, Ted? Or what did you make of that?
Yeah, no, I actually when I first started, and I done the very first one, I was like, what have I signed myself up here for? Like, but as the month grew and the support grew, it was fantastic, and I actually look forward to finish, because most of the time I'd be in work Monday to Friday. I'd actually look forward to getting home and getting out. And for the last week of it, then for the last weekend of it, I had my little young fella, my son, with me out, and he loved getting it, because I had told him about a week before, and it was, unfortunately, it was actually pissed. It was lashing rain now, so I couldn't bring him with me. But for the whole week, he kept giving out to me that I never brought him on the walk with me, or I never brought him on the run. So I had him for the last weekend of it, and he was out with me all three evenings or 3 days, and he joined in the videos and he loved it. And then because I finished on the Sunday, and then on the Monday he rings me and he's like, "Daddy, what time are you going for the walk? I want to do he was slagging me. He's like, "Hello, this is Ted Furman." Like, so he wants to do the video. Like, do you know what I mean? It was great, and I think that's, for me, it was fantastic to do it and get out and obviously raise money for Pieta House. Like when I initially done it, the goal was to raise €1,000. Like that was initially, and I've raised, at the minute it's at over €3,100. It is still open for the next couple of days anyway. So again, if anyone wants to donate, they can find the GoFundMe page through my social media as well. So again, every little helps, and as I said, the people it all goes straight to Pieta House again. So which for me, they really helped me in my initial stages on as part of my journey after everything that happened. I was with them for about 10, 11 weeks, and they really helped me an awful lot, and that's why I wanted to give something back to them and try and raise awareness for them.
Yeah, and I suppose exercise is a big thing in that as well, Ted. Like, how important is exercise to like the human body, your mind, and just getting through the dark days, I suppose, Ted?
Yeah, no, 100%. And for someone, I know lads will slag me because I hate training. I always complain. I'm one of the lads that would complain during training about doing running or wherever it is. But when you're afterwards and you feel great afterwards, and I think I'm a very bad complainer or giving out over something, like, and I think it's really important to get out, and it's something that I miss doing now, is going training with the lads and playing matches. And I think the sooner the better we can get back out on the pitch and start interacting again, because you miss the camaraderie with the team, you miss the laugh and the joking on a Tuesday and Thursday, and the lads, like, be it coming in with their shoddy clothes or listen to the dodgy music and stuff like that, like, and it's small things like that. And I think a lot of people were struggling now, so that's why, like, getting out and training, like, there today, like, I was down in the Phoenix Park, and we done a nice good walk around the Phoenix Park, so, and that kind of sets you up for the day and clears the head. You're able to get out and enjoy the fresh air, and it's fantastic to see so many people out, be it running or walking, cycling, and you just know it's something, they're doing something to keep active, to keep their mind active and keep their mind fresh, because there's no better feeling than walking after coming home from a nice walk and relaxing, throwing the legs up and watching the football or wherever it is on the telly, like, you know.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I fully agree with that. And I suppose, Ted, we can touch on it at the start of the podcast. You kind of referenced your attempted suicide, and I suppose it was last February. And I suppose, what kind of brought you to that, Ted, or what was your mindset at that time? And I suppose, the walls obviously were coming in fairly quickly. Like, what kind of mindset were you in, Ted, if you mind touching on it?
Well, to be honest, I really didn't have a mindset. I think I was going through life on a day-by-day basis, just unfortunately in complete darkness, and not realizing what was going on around me. And I really struggled to see what was going on. And looking back on it now, I was depressed, like, and I was pretending everything was going all right, but when in all aspects my life was falling apart around me. I didn't speak to anyone, didn't open up to anyone, and my struggles kind of all came together. Like, one small little problem was building up, and I'd push it further on down the line, and then say another problem would happen, and eventually, like, over the space of a year, because it built up it didn't just happen overnight. These problems were building up from a year, 2 years, even 12 years before, like, and I never dealt with them, never spoke to anyone, and tried to deal with them myself, pretending everything was all right, still going out on the weekends, still had the smile on my face, but I'd go home and close the curtains and there was no one home, like, and unfortunately, by not dealing with anything, everything kind of got on top of me, and I didn't see any other way out, unfortunately, and this is what happens with so many people. You don't see the benefits until it's too late, or of what's around you or what you have around you. And it was the best piece of I hit rock bottom as many people do when they're in that situation, and the best piece of advice I was given afterwards was the strongest base anyone can be at is rock bottom, because there's only one way from there, and that's up. So from there, as I said at the start, I've reevaluated everything that was going on. I've started to deal the problems that I dealt with, and I spoke to people, opened up to people, let them know what was going on. Again, like when you're in that situation, you're going to have no choice but to open up and share with people, and just that helped me move forward. And I think then with lockdown, then you'd you had no choice, but it gave me a chance to reset, like, because what's the word for it? You had no desire, or you had no choice but to stay at home. You had no choice but to be with the people that be with your friends and family. And I'm fortunate that I had great support around me because that. Like I had no I had no choice. I couldn't go to the pub. You couldn't go out, so you couldn't. You had no. I actually can't think of the word for it, but
outlet.
No, you had no outlet, but you know, you know,
routine.
No, but like you had no choice. You had no want to go out. Like you couldn't go out. You couldn't go. You know, fuck.
You're very limited, Ted. No.
Yeah, you were very limited in what you could do, and yeah, so it gave me a good opportunity to kind of reset and reevaluate what I was doing and what I had around me, and basically treat the people that I had around me with the love and care that they showed me, and give back to the support and support them now. Like,
yeah, and like I'm intrigued by it all, Ted, because like there's like myself, yourself, anyone across the country can get to that mindset, like footballers playing club football, county football, and I suppose what was it? Just I don't know, was it the lack of football? Maybe, Ted, was something going on with work? Was it relationship? Like what was the culminating factors, I suppose?
Well, I wasn't. I'd stopped. I think there was a lot of things going on. Really, to go into detail over it, like the year before, I was homeless for a couple of months. I got suspended playing a match with Ballymun. I got an 8-week suspension for getting into a row with a supporter on the sideline. I had obviously issues at home. I had issues with work. It was a lot of small things, but all accumulated into one big thing. And I had stuff going on, like obviously with my family abroad, like my dad's side of the family are in New York and stuff. So there was a lot of stuff like that kind of all coming in on top of me, and then you're having rows with people on the pitch at home and nights out, and it was kind of to say it was a struggle really mentally to deal with all of that. And I think once now with counselling now, it's fantastic because you have that outlet, you have that desire to speak, and just for me personally, it gave me it feels good to go and do the counselling. It feels good to speak to people. It feels good to share in a group. I to see so many people interacting with it. I've looked at now. I'm going back and I'm starting a counselling course this coming Monday. So yeah, so it's helped me an awful lot. But I think this time last year I was only starting my journey, and I know there was a couple of comments when I first set up the group about it was too soon. Should I really be helping others when I was still going through my own thing? But I can honestly say that it's really helped me.
Yeah.
Through my journey, it's pushed me to another place now to build it even more and build myself up and have that self-worth for people. And I think sometimes when people struggle with their own kind of mental health, it's their self-worth that they struggle with. They don't feel like they're good enough, or they don't feel like they're both big enough and stuff like that. And I think for me that was really important. It's your body image. When you look back, the body dysmorphia, as people call it, like when you look yourself in the mirror, you find something, you find the issues, you find the problem. Yeah. And like the more you look, the more problems you're going to find. But I think when you can change that mindset into a positive mindset and look at when you look in the mirror and say, all right, I'm happy today, I'm good, I look good, it's a completely different mindset, and it's a completely different aspect then in life, that when you move forward, you have that positive energy instead of being negative all the time. And I think for me, it's important now to build my own mindset, and obviously starting with the counselling course on Monday, I'm really looking forward to, because this, like a year ago, I couldn't have pictured one, having setting up a peer support group for mental health, two, like being happy and healthy, and three, starting a course, like, and particularly in counselling and wanting to give back to others. If you told me this time last year that this is what I'm going to do in a year, I would have laughed at you. I would have said, "There's no way!" Like, do you know what I mean? And yeah, so it's fantastic. It's great, and I feel good. I work is going well for me. The group's going well. My family life is going really well, and I think that's what's important when you start taking them boxes off now, and it's what you want to do, you know.
Yeah, and number 4 being on the JMac podcast, but
yeah,
that's just
Jersey.
That's just the peak.
Yeah. We've peaked now. There's no further. We've reached the limit.
Of course, this podcast is sponsored by Orga Retrowear. Check the website out for all your retro gear needs. But Ted, it is, look, I suppose it is a worrying thing, because we did see with Shane Carty, he's an All-Ireland winner with Dublin, and even Colin Cairn, fella used to play for Tyrone, he went through struggles, and it is such a scary thing, and this could be going on anywhere else in the country. Players could be going through their struggles, not even players, anyone, Joe Soap, anyone at all. Isn't it a scary kind of thing to really have that mindset as well, Ted?
It's beyond scary, because it can happen to anyone, and I think the more people that highlight their struggles, the better it'll become, and the more high profile people, the more high profile that who share their own struggles, is really important, because it does not it does normalize the conversation around mental health for people, and it shows the likes of yourself and myself that, Jesus, if they're going through struggles, I am actually all right here. What I'm going through is normal. People struggle on a daily basis, but again, it's having that coping mechanism in place that people don't find themselves in deeper or struggle really deeper. And the importance of speaking and opening up to people, that's the most important thing, is to let people in on what's going on. And you don't have to let everyone know what's going on, but you can have that one person, that one outlet for you, really, to help you. And sometimes the most important thing is, when you listen to someone that is struggling, or they come to you is struggling, don't give them advice, don't tell them what to do. It's just being there for them, and be that listening ear for them. Because, and I think, as someone said on the call the other night, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's more important to listen to people, and instead of telling them, grow up, you're all right, there's nothing wrong here. They're coming to you for a reason. And so listen to them. You don't have to tell them what to do. It's just being there to support them, and put your arm around them and say, look, we'll get through this together. And a problem shared is a problem half. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I suppose you referenced the fact last year you're homeless, and you're going through the mental health and bits and pieces. What was that kind of like? You're just thinking, you said the Kieran Cullen when the piece, you just think you're the Phoenix Spark or something. What was that like, Ted?
Yeah, so that was, it'd be 2 years this summer. So it was a really tough time for me, mentally and physically and personally, because I didn't know what was going on. And when I left, when I became homeless, I had nowhere to go. And don't get me wrong, I would have acted the bollocks. I would have had people around. I could have stayed in people's houses if I wanted. I could have stayed in people's couches, and I did do it. And what I done was, I was friends with everyone to try and get that support, or have somewhere to go, or when I was sleeping in the car. I was going out with the weekend, and you would stay out all weekend, because you didn't want to go back to that place where you felt it was better. You thought people would like you more because you were staying out the whole time. And like when I look back and I just think, what were you doing? Like, it was, I should have realised the signs back then. And it's all well and good sitting here now and saying I should have seen the signs.
Yeah.
But I think if I could go back and give one piece of advice to myself, it would be speak to someone, open up, and everything is not going to be, everything is not as bad as it seems. And like the one night in the Phoenix Park when I thought about it, was the first time I kind of thought about suicide, and I was just like, I can't do this. So sitting in the Phoenix Park, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's pitch black as you can imagine, and you're hearing these strange noises, and God knows what's going on in the Phoenix Park at 3 or 4 in the morning. So, Jesus, I just think anything could have happened to me back then.
Yeah.
Be it from myself or from anyone else who was there, you couldn't see on and I thought about just turning the car on and just going straight into it and doing something. And I just, it was like a blinker moment. That should have been like, you're struggling here. That's your epiphany sign that you need help here. But I didn't do it, and I didn't tell anyone. I went back to sleep, woke up the next morning, and drove to work, and then went out that weekend and acted that nothing was going on. And
yeah,
it's in a way it's mad. It's difficult to speak about, because it is. I think, but when you look back, and it was a pride thing, you didn't want to tell someone, and this is what happens with you, particularly with males, is you have to have that alpha male mentality. You have to say, look, like on paper everything is all right, you're in check, but when reality hits, it can hit badly, and that's the unfortunate thing, that if you don't speak to people, and my story can be proof in many ways that because I didn't speak to someone, because I pretended that everything was all right, walk around with a smiley face, not telling someone that I was sleeping in the car, or that I was homeless, or I had nowhere to stay, and just kind of going through life on a whim, just taking each day, as it came to me, and it wasn't right. And when I look back on it now, Jesus, I'd never want to go. I'd never wish it on anyone.
Yeah.
And I hope people don't, and people that do find themselves in that situation, it's an awful situation to find yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
But look, I think it'll only make you stronger, because you never want to go back to that place. And I know for me, I obviously didn't deal with it initially, and my problems festered and built up to a situation where it became unattainable for me. And I'm actually very fortunate that I wasn't successful in my suicide attempt, and because it's only given me the opportunity to kind of move forward now and remember the important things that are going on, and that I have in my life, be it my partner, my son, and my family.
Yeah, I tell you what, my sister used to live in Phoenix Park, and it's a scary place at night time. So Jesus Christ. I suppose touching on Ted's open mic as well, Ted, what would be the plan with that for the future? Are you going to kind of expand that, or are you just kind of happy the way it's going now, or what would be the crack with it?
I think obviously the way it's going now is fantastic. Obviously I want to continue it on as long as I can. As I said, I'm starting a course now in counselling and in psychotherapy. So look, eventually that's kind of the career path that probably will go down. But for the time being, I still want to continue it. It's going to be on twice a week as much as I can, as long as everyone allows me, you know what I mean? And as long as you don't get fed up with me. I have some great guests lined up now over the next couple of weeks. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and it's something that I actually enjoy. And again, it's helping, because it's helping people and it's helping me. It's going to be there for the foreseeable future anyway, for a while. And look, who knows, in a couple of years, I think the main picture then could be getting something in person, and setting up a safe space for people that they can go and share and come. And look, I as I said, I have a goal for it, I have a plan for it, and we will put the tools in place and we see where we can take it.
Yeah, geez, it's a great resource for anyone. So obviously, check out Ted's open mic every Tuesday and Friday now, Ted, or it's changed
So
up
no,
again.
from next week, the 9th of March, it'll be starting every Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Next week now we have some good guests lined up. So we have David Goff coming on the Tuesday night again, someone with a fantastic story and has been through a lot of stuff himself. And then on Thursday night I have Pat Divley coming on. So again, fantastic, and it's someone like that is massive for people, and particularly like with Pat Divley, he was someone that I listened to really closely. He was given to me last year after when I struggled. I was given his book and I was told about his podcast, and he was the first person I probably listened to afterwards, and he really helped me. So to have someone like that coming on is really exciting. And actually to speak to him, like it's mad. Like when I reached out to him, literally straight away he comes back to me and sends me his phone number, and I'm sitting there and I'm sending voice notes back and forward with Pat Divley, and I'm thinking, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, it's mad, like, you know what I mean? It's fantastic. So I have a couple of other guests that I'm trying to get on. So again, to try and highlight just the importance and show people that they're not alone, and it is okay not to be okay, as people say. Like,
yeah. So and last on it, Kieran Cunningham obviously had done a piece with you in the Star, and I suppose it's national, it's broadcasted after that. Ted, like, was that? How did you find talking to Kieran? Because like essentially, ink doesn't, paper doesn't refuse ink, and it was just nationwide after that. Was that an intimidating experience, Ted?
I think, yeah, it was very difficult. I was very nervous about it, and like I think last year was the first time I kind of obviously opened up about it, and I think I done the 2 podcasts with yourselves and then the Backdoor podcast as well, and that's initially how I kind of started talking about mental health on my own journey. So then when I set up the group, Kieran Cunningham reached out, and Jesus, when I told a story, I didn't realize how big it was going to be, and afterwards, and it was fantastic. Then afterwards, like I've been on the radio, the Claire Bourne show. I've been on Jennifer Zambarelli again, speaking about and highlighting it. And look, it's been fantastic. And all I can say is to Kieran is thanks very much. He wrote a fantastic piece, and it came across very well. And look, if it seems to have helped others by me sharing my story, and so many people have related to it. So it's been positive a lot of the time, the feedback that you get from it. Obviously you can't please everyone, and that's the unfortunate thing, but look, we the majority of the feedback that's come from it has been really positive. And I think the funny thing is when that article came out, RT then had took the Ballymun documentary.
Yeah.
So they kind of coincided at the same time of coming out. So it's been great, and all I can do is, if it's helped one person, I'm happy with that, by me sharing my story and my experience of what I've dealt with, either growing up or what I'm going through now. And again, look, all I can do is thank anyone that has reached out to me, has commented on it. Thanks very much, and I really appreciate all the help and support that people have given me.
Yeah, and even on the side note, because like I know if there's a fella in Cavan here who set up like a Need to Talk business, it's a clothing brand, and he sells all sorts of gear and bits and pieces, and he's actually got a bit of slack in terms of, oh, why would you do this? Are you actually, is there something wrong with you? And just people being people, getting in the way and being annoying. Have you got any sort of, oh, there's not anything wrong with you, or have you got any sort of abuse, or has it all been positive, Ted?
Look, you take the good with the bad, and we're at an age now. You're not going to please everyone. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to. There's always somebody that can take offense to whatever you're doing, and look, the majority of the feedback that I'm getting has been positive. Yeah, 100%. I'd say 95% of it, and then there's always going to be one or two that might have a little comment about it. But I think I'm strong enough and I'm bold enough now to know to kind of let its water off a duck's back. And I think I wouldn't have done something like this if I wasn't mentally strong enough to do it. And I think with the support that I have with the people in the background in the group, and speaking to them and having the professionals on board as well, I think that's the tool for me that I'm able to cope with it. I think for some people could be just looking out for you at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like initially, I read a comment, and again, it's social media.
Yeah.
Like you're going in, you're finding comments, and you're just like, they have no idea. People have no clue what's going on behind closed doors. They have no clue the effect that they can have on someone with comments. Or now again, like as you said, it's few and far between, but at the same time, you have to be tough to deal with it, or you have to have that support there. And that's one thing that I've stressed, and what I've tried to do over the last year is make sure that I have the right people on board with me. I have the right people around me that I can open up and speak to.
Yeah, definitely. Great stuff there. And I suppose we can touch on the football as well, Ted. You're a Ballymun footballer, of course, and you started in 2006. And obviously great times. We've seen the documentary on RTE. I watched it about, 10 times at this stage. I love it. I think Val Andrews is very good at it, yourself, JMac, everyone played a fantastic part in it, Ted. We'll touch on that for a couple of minutes. What was that like to contribute to that, and suppose reflect on the club's success?
Yeah, Ballymun have obviously been a huge part of my life since I've been 8 years of age, and I think moving forward they'll always be a part of my life in the future. And I hope someday that my kids will play for Ballymun. And Ballymun has always been a fantastic club with great people on board with it, and so when I was asked to do the documentary, I didn't hesitate in doing it and speaking up about it, because initially the first kind of early years for me, I would have dealt with a lot of racism growing up, and never would have really known how to deal with that. And that's where Paddy came in, and Paddy really helped me an awful lot with that. But he didn't just help me; he helped everyone that was a part of that team. And I think that's what really grew the bond for me with Ballymun anyway, because there was a lot of people out there that wanted to help me, and we've been very fortunate enough over the last couple of years that we've been relatively successful, probably underachieved while I've been there. But look, the years that I'll never get back, the years that I've loved and probably didn't appreciate going through them. Like when we won the first championship, and then enjoying the Leinster run, the All Ireland, then getting back to county finals, you kind of forget that and you move away from that. And look, it's been great, and I'm still delighted to be involved with Ballymun and get back playing. And last year I enjoyed playing. I was back playing intermediate football last year, so I'd taken obviously an extended break after everything had happened. So I probably hadn't, when I played a match last July, with the first match back in July, which I hadn't played a full game in over a year, believe it or not. So it was a year and a month or something before the last full game I played before last year. So to get back playing and just enjoying football was really enjoyable for me, and the support that I had from everyone in Ballymun was fantastic. The majority of it has been fantastic. They've helped me an awful lot, and I look forward to get back and playing with them when we can this year.
Yeah, I suppose you just got to the All Ireland Club final in 2013. Ted losing out to, was it the Bridges back then? And so it was like to be part of that occasion, Ted, because that's just Croke Park All Ireland Club final. It's the pinnacle.
Yeah, no, come here. It was unbelievable. You probably can't appreciate it as much when you're involved in it. So it's only when you take a step back and you realise how big it actually was, not just for the club but for the community of Ballymun, was really important. And I always remember that particular day in particular, like a certain aspect during the second half, and you hear the crowd chanting, and the majority of the time, funny enough, you could have a full house, but you can't hear the crowd, believe it or not. And that's. It's mad. And it's like any game. You drown out the crowd. You have to drown out what's going on around you. You kind of forget. You have to forget about the occasion and what it is. And so that's why you don't really appreciate it as much. But I think that day in particular was fantastic, for not just for the club to get there again. Initially was fantastic. to be involved. Unfortunately, the result didn't go our way, but I think what we done for the community and putting Ballymun back on the map was really important for the club, and particularly the underage structure, because you had a lot of kids then coming to the games, and particularly in Crow Park. And Paddy say it's great. It's a great family occasion, and it's something that we're missing this year and last year because it hasn't been there. But it grew the club, it grew the underage structure, and getting the kids back into playing football, because he wanted to be, and it's fantastic with the lads in the Dublin setup as well, because you have young kids wanting to play for Ballymun that look at, they want to be Dean Rock, they want to be JMac, and they want to be John Small. Do you know what I mean? So it is fantastic that. But these are lads started with Ballymun underage. They're not someone that has just come in, and it's the people in Ballymun that have trained them and really helped them, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and you're after mentioning some stars like Dean Rock, Philly Mack. They're probably some of the best players of our generation. Ted, what was it like to play with them gents over the years?
Yeah, the career. You look at them and you treat them like anyone else. Do you know what I mean? And I think and they treat you the same. They don't look at you as any different. They don't look at you below or above you. And that was the most important thing with them. They're all sound lads. They're all a band of brothers. Really, when you look at them, like the people that I've grew up and you go to battle with on a daily basis, and you go to war for any of them. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think even last year for the lads to have them back in the club from the start to the finish was fantastic, not just for themselves, for the young lads on the senior setup, for the young lads in the club, to see these lads train on a daily basis, to see what it takes to make it to that level is really important. And it really pushed Ballymun on, as you seen last year. They took the Dublin Championship by storm, and I think there was no one going to stop them last year. It's a seriously impressive team and seriously impressive players. And I suppose Paddy Christie, Ted, we've seen in the documentary the work he done with Ballymun over the years, got everyone playing football, everyone on the road, and just what a man to have about the list. Yeah, well, look, fantastic. Look, and everything he seems to touch turns to gold. Look at Tipperary this year.
Yeah.
Or last year. Do you know what I mean? Tipperary getting to an all-ireland semi-final. Paddy was involved with that. For a lot of us, he helped us an awful lot, not just on the pitch but off the pitch, and I think that's what makes him special. I think that's what made him different to any other manager that I've ever had. It was that personal skill that he had, and like, sure, look, he's a principal in a school or a teacher. He was a teacher, like, do you know what I mean? And it's how he was able to interact with us, and how he was able to find out what was going on. It wasn't just about football with him. It was about how you were getting on and how things were going on for you. And I think that's why. And the structure that we had, I had Paddy as a manager from under 10 to under 21 without him leaving. And I think that's what made us come back all the time, because you knew he was going to be there. And I think that's why a lot of us stuck around. Like, when you look back to the 2012 county final against Kimberley Crokes, we had played a 21s championship, won the 21s championship probably a year before that, a year or two before that, and 13 of that 21s team started the senior final against Crokes that year. Yeah. And that was his team that won the championship. So that was really important. And when you look at that, that's unheard of, I think, for any setup, for any club, and regardless of where you're from. Like,
yeah. And I suppose, how important of a club is Ballymun to everyone really up there, Ted? Because like I know obviously everyone, like, clubs go through hard times, and I suppose Ballymun as an area probably, like, it can be you did have hard times over the years. So how important was sport and GA as an outlet to yourself, Philly Mack, Dean Rock, John Paul, everyone,
Yeah, no, sport is massive, and it's used, and I think a lot. And anyone that was on that documentary spoke about it. Like, if we didn't have football, we could have went down different paths. Yeah. You could have been out on bikes and robbed cars or whatever it is that's going on, and not just in Ballymun, it's anywhere. Like, and it's not just in Dublin, it's all over the country. But I think what was important for us to have, we had that outlet, was we had people there that wanted us to succeed, wanted us to do better, and made us want to be better. And sometimes that you can get lost along the way in that, but you always had that hand around you to bring you back. And I think that was the important thing with Paddy. Like I have friends that have been in prison that have died because after they fell away from football, and it's an awful shame that people can get into that. But it's so easily done. You can be easily led, and it goes back to the people that you surround yourself with. Do you know what I mean? It's the people that you interact with on a daily basis that can fall down, and it can get you into a different mindset. So the more kind of positive people that you can interact with, that you can surround yourself with, you become a better person. You become a more positive person. And I think that's why that Ballymun team was special, because we all wanted the same thing. We were together so much that we strived to be better and wanted to do better.
Yeah, and I suppose as well as like anything else, every good team, that winning culture, the elite mentality, all the players we've alluded to as well, Ted. What was it like to be part of all that over the years?
Yeah, well, put it this way, we weren't successful underage from under 13 all the way through to 21s with Ballymun. We were unsuccessful. We lost final after final and semi-finals until initially we won the first 21 championship in 2008, I think it was, or 2009. We won the first one. Then we went back to back with that, with 21s, and it was only after that then that we started being successful. So I think initially what it was having that dogged resilience to come back year after year and wanting to be successful. So then when we won the 21s, we weren't happy with just winning one. We wanted to do what no team had done before, which was winning back to back. And then after, when we kind of all grew out of it, we wanted to win the senior one. And I think that was having that mentality there to do it, and having the coaches there that wanted to do it as well was really important. So to be a part of that was something special. To still be a part of that is something special. And I think anyone that is playing GA is special, and anyone that is playing sport and involved with a team can be special. It can be very helpful for people and move forward.
Yeah, I suppose you were part, you played with a lot of these just absolute Dublin juggernaut at the minute, not going to be stopping anytime soon. And you would have represented Dublin underage from all levels. What was it like to be even play for the Dubs? I think you remarked on the open mic the other night, you won an under 21 title against Michael Murphy's. It's 2010, I think, Ted.
2010, yeah, we won the 21s championship for 21s against Donegal. Again, that was fantastic, and like playing for Dublin is the pinnacle for anyone, and it's what people want. People starting out in Gaelic football, the pinnacle is playing for your county, and winning all Irelands with them. And I think I was like no other young bucko around Ballymun, kicking the ball against the wall, thinking you were. For me, it was thinking I was Jason Sherlock kicking the ball over the bar in many aspects, because so to do that and represent Dublin was fantastic. It was a fantastic experience. It was something that I always cherished. I still have the jersey, the wardrobe here, so I still have the jersey in the wardrobe there, and it's something that I'll always remember, and it's something that I probably regret not doing more. I think, or pushing on. And unfortunately, I didn't have the drive probably to do it. Again, I probably surrounded myself with the wrong people at the wrong time, and I think sometimes that can happen, and sometimes it's just not for you. And do I regret stuff? No, I don't regret anything that I've ever done, because it's led me to a place that I'm in now, which is happy and looking to be successful.
Yeah, and as well as that, I suppose you probably would have been following the Dubs over the last couple of years. Like, would you be kind of thinking, like, oh, with all this All-Ireland success, would you be kind of, geez, I wouldn't mind being part of that, or are you kind of happy enough just playing with the ball for Ballymun?
Come here, look, anyone that plays football at a top level wishes they were part of a special team, and that Dublin team is something special. I've been fortunate enough to play with them and play against them and be down with them, involved at an early stage. So that in itself is really, really good. But for me personally, I'm happy playing football. Do I have aspirations to be? Yeah, who doesn't want to be the best that they can be, or play at the highest level? So yeah, it's 100%. Do I regret it or have regrets? No. Look, I'm happy playing football, and I'll push myself forward to show my own strength And I think that's the most important thing. Don't look at what someone else is doing. Just look at yourself and get your own house in order before you can look at someone else and judge them. Like,
yeah, definitely. You would have played, as I was saying, 06 to present now, and I suppose it's kind of a topical conversation at the minute. But what did you make of? Because obviously the club is a massive commitment. So what did you kind of make of the commitment for club over the years? Like, did you enjoy it, or were you ever kind of thinking, geez, I need a bit of a break here? Or what did you make of it over the years?
I think when you're in it, you're like, Jesus, the club it's very long, and you wish they shortened the season down. I think now I'm probably missing all that now. Like, do you know what I mean? So as I said, I was always one for complaining. So I probably complained as much as probably more than the next person. Like, but I wouldn't change it in any way, and I wish I had that thing now where you're training being on Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, wherever it is. You wish you had that back, and on the cold, like what you give going back up the park, kick them on a cold, rainy night, and for some reason it's always cold up in Ballymun on our pitch because we're right beside the airport, so you always had the strongest of breeze, and it was always colder up there for some reason. But geez, I wish we were going back now, and look, the sooner the better everyone can get back playing. But I think last year, I think this is what it was good to have the club there. It was good to be back playing games. I know initially when we started out last January, people were back training, and you're thinking, right, it's going to be a long year. Then it turns out the season's only 6 weeks long. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think we're probably going to look at the same this year. And I think when we do get back playing, I think we should just enjoy it. Just enjoy playing football. Yeah. And look, everyone wants to be successful. Yes, you're going to push it in, but I think the one thing I'd say to people, and one thing I'll say to myself, is enjoy it. Because as we've seen last year, as we've seen this year, it can be taken away in a blink of an eye, and we don't know what's around the corner. So enjoy it while it's there.
Yeah, no, because that's the general consensus. I know a lot of lads who are near retirement and say, one more year, but the COVID actually taught them to stay on for another year or two. So I definitely agree with that. You enjoy it while it lasts, because it can be whipped away fairly quickly. And Ted, obviously Dublin Club Championship is the creme de creme. It's probably as good as league football around the counties and around Ireland. Who would have been like the best player you played with and against over the years?
Oh, well, we've named some top players that I've played with, like, and I think for me the best player I've played with, and I think just for what he done for me over the years, would have had to be in Paddy. Yeah. I think when we were growing up, I think particularly when I was growing up, I was always 2 years younger than the likes of Philly and that, like, and I never would have imagined playing with the likes of Paddy or Ian Robertson. Again, is another person. But the old school Ballymun lads were a different breed amongst themselves. The likes of Paddy, Ian, Darren Ducey as well. Like, that's another one. Like, I think Paddy was the best one that I've played with. I think I've played against some top players. I think probably just Dermot Connolly, like, again, playing against is another one. Like, do you know what I mean? But I've played against, again, as we said, Michael Murphy is another one that I've played against. Who else would be top? Like, there's a fella, actually, believe it or not, played for Plunkett's years ago, Michael Broids.
Oh yeah, from Red Hills, down the road from me. Yeah.
He was one man. Now, I would have been only kind of starting out senior, and he was playing with Plunkett's, and I had my battles with him, so he was really really tough, like. Yeah, but I enjoyed it. He got the better of me once or twice, but I never gave in. I always came back against him. So yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, geez, I must have, if I ever see him there in Cavan, I must tell Ted Furman he was on. Yeah, and even on that, Ted, David Givney, I think he played a bit of ball with Ballymun as well. Do you remember from Cavan?
Yeah, he joined Ballymun. Unfortunately, then he got injured. He done his ankle. He was with us for a year or two. Again, super top player, and he was just unfortunate he never really got to showcase it for Ballymun. But yeah, no, he was someone that I had played against actually when he was in DIT or trained with him and stuff. and you could see the potential, like him. Michael Brady as well was another one that was with Ballymun.
Yeah.
Again, two top lads that really put her in and wanted to play for the jersey of Ballymun. And unfortunately, in David's case, he never really got to showcase it. Like,
yeah, just an outrageous player. He actually hasn't played for Cavan since 2016. He's in London at the minute, I think. But God, what do we do to have him around the place? And I suppose, Ted, to finish up, like, it's been fantastic stuff. What kind of advice would you give to like the younger generation or anyone kind of out there suffering, or even just a bit of advice to kind of set them on tune and set them up for life, I suppose?
One bit of advice that I give to anyone is don't be afraid to speak to people, and train, get out, be active, get out there, be it whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, go for a walk, try and get out for that fresh air. And obviously for people that want to aspire to be better players and stuff, is keep training. Like, I have a football chair in the house. I'm out the back, picking up, hand passing, just solo, and just keeping the basics in check. Mentally speaking, for people that if they find themselves ever in struggling, is don't be afraid to tell someone that you're struggling. And I think let them know that everything can't, as I said earlier, a problem shared is a problem halved. And I think that's the most important piece of advice. And if people do find themselves at rock bottom, the only way you can go from there is up. And remember that the strongest base anyone can have is rock bottom, because there's nowhere else you can go. So yeah, that's all I'd say to people. And again, don't be afraid to let people in.
Yeah, Ted Furman, that was absolutely fantastic. Jeez, I could talk to her for a couple of hours, but herself wants me to do a few jobs around the house. But anyway, Ted Furman, thanks so much for joining me on the JMac Podcast this week. Of course, this podcast is sponsored by Orga Retrowear.com. Check the website out for all your retro gear needs. Ted, an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much for opening up, telling your story, talk with Ballymun, and have a great Saturday, and hope she doesn't work you too hard.
No worries at all. Again, if anyone does want to join Ted's Open Mic, they can email myself at tedsopenmic@gmail.com. Again, if you're on Twitter, you can just get me on my Twitter page, and on Instagram it is Ted's Open Mic on Instagram as well. So again, if anyone wants to come on board, again, there's no pressure for anyone to speak. Again, it's very private, protected. So again, no, you don't have to put on your camera, and nothing is shared. So again, if anyone wants to come on, please get in contact and don't be afraid. Yeah. So again, John, thanks very much for having me on. I really appreciate you letting me on to share my story, and hopefully that people enjoy it and enjoy the weekend.
Great stuff, Ted. Thanks a million.
No worries at all.